7 o'clock. We good? All right, so let's kick off the second half with the serenity prayer. God, grant me serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to introduce our main speaker, Raphael. Camera's right there.
Oh, the camera's right here?
Yeah. Just use it.
Oh, wow. All right. My name's Raphael. I'm an alcoholic. It's truly great to be back here at Fred Brown Recovery Services. Like you guys right now, I was once in those seats. Fred Brown really helped me come out of the darkness and into the light. Technical difficulties. So, damn, look at me. All right. So what it was like for me, where do I start at? Well, first of all, for me, I don't get stuck on the alcoholic addict type thing, right? For me, it's about self-awareness, but that I work the steps out of the big, about the big book. So I work out the steps, the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a sponsor. I have a home group. I do my program every day. I choose to do my program. Alcoholics Anonymous, it brought me to a point where I can have a relationship with a higher power. You know, that's something that's totally abnormal for anybody that knows me. What it used to be like for me was I used to be out for everything and into everything. I used to drink on a daily basis. And in the beginning, it wasn't detrimental. It wasn't affecting my health. It was something to do. It was something to celebrate. It was something to go out on the weekends. It was something to have a good time. You know, I've never drank 1 or 2 beers, kicked it with my friends, my homies, went out with girls to bars. I never did none of that. Before they used to have a dress code, so the way that I used to dress before wouldn't let me go to any type of club or casual setting. And then I wasn't into that because I was into ruining what you guys had going on. You know, I was into rebelling against anything that had to do with God or any type of higher power, any type of legality or authority. I was just a rebellious, hateful, hurt kid. I used to think I was a very angry kid. I used to be mad at the world, and all I was hurt. I was running around feeling sorry for myself, full of self-pity. Self-imposed crisis, that was me. Throwing a big-ass tantrum for the past 30-something years. You know, I started drinking at an early age. One of my neighbors, he was my uncle's homeboy, and he used to get me drunk, Budweiser. And at that time, it was 2 Live Crew that was on the TV. You know, shaking that butt and, me so horny, right? So, nasty, I was real nasty at an early age. I was real provocative. We normalized a lot of things in my neighborhood. We normalized a lot of things in our neighborhood. Violence was one of them. It's really it's really an eye-opening to come and look back and to see that I used to sit right here where you guys were at. I used to sit in the seats and I used to be like, man, this is full of shit. I can't wait to get back and get my phone, or go watch TV, take a nap, and get some of Mama's cooking or something if Mama's still around, no. So, yeah, it is what it is. Things change. But what keeps on consistent is the way that I feel about myself. That's what got me to leading to alcohol. I choose to identify as an alcoholic because that was the first thing that went into my body, that I put into my body, was alcohol. I used to drink on a daily basis. I used to drink as a young kid. If you see a 9-year-old kid drunk, you'd be like, what the fuck? But that's how much we normalized drinking in my neighborhood. The neighbors were winos, the people on the street were winos, and it was a cool thing to be a wino. And nowadays, it's total, flip the script. It's opposite. What else? Damn, I hate the way I look. And that's a little self-esteem issue that I identify with, and I do these steps and I work with my sponsor and we talk about those things because I have to be transparent. The advice he gave me to come over here and speak with you guys is to be generally brutally honest, to be me, to not sugarcoat shit, can I vulgarity? Not to, be anything other than what I am, and what I am is an alcoholic, and I use drugs, I used a lot of drugs in my lifetime, and with a lot of people that I wouldn't think I would have used with, and it deteriorated everything that I thought that I loved, and everything that I did love, and to this day I have some, relationships that have rekindled, with the fact of me being, on the sober tip, some things don't come back. Some victims you hurt and they hurt and they're gone forever. You know, you can't get that, you know, oh, I'm sorry back, you know, that amends back. You know, all I can do is just give it up to God. So with me, I know for when I worked step number 1 with my sponsor, I worked out of the big book. I know NA has a step working guide. I tried to do that one, but I wasn't consistent with it. But Alcoholics Anonymous worked for me because I was in prison. I was in prison trying to get out of my cell and trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with myself because I was up for parole in a year and a half. And I was like, fuck, I just don't want to go back to doing the same old shit all over again. You know, because I had the woman, I had the house, I had the job, I had the people, had everything that the world, that society says that you're going to be a success. You know, that's what you want. You know, and that shit didn't stop me. You know, I had all the self-knowledge. I knew what was my problem, why was I doing my problem, and what I could do about my problem. And I knew the solution was there. And I still chose not to take it, you know, because I just didn't give a fuck. You know, I didn't have, that's where my spirituality is right there, is when I start saying, I don't care. When I don't care about what I eat, you know, then I'm not present in my life. If I don't care about what I wear, then I'm depressed and I'm not worrying about what the hell I look like. You know, when I look in the mirror, I don't talk to that person because that's the enemy. You know, that person lies to me every single moment of the day when I look in that fucking mirror. He's like telling me, oh, shit that I could do, shit that I, you know, like, it's just I'm my worst enemy. So I'm glad for sponsorship because I can go and rant and talk and be about all this fucking nonsense in my head because my brain don't turn off no more. You know, I'm used to being sedated, you know, whatever type of drug there is. I'm not going to talk too much about the disease and being during my addiction and my alcoholism because I'm pretty sure everybody knows what's going on when they're all fucked up. You know, because that's what we're sitting in these rooms today, is to figure out if we're going to keep still getting fucked up, am I getting some weight on me so my next run could crack, or am I going to fucking truly trying to change? You know, and that's where the powerlessness comes for me, is when I'm sitting back and I'm fucking stuck in the corner with my hands in my face and I'm bawling out of control like, damn, why in the fuck did I do this shit all over again? You know, that's powerlessness for me. You know, I hurt these people that I didn't want to hurt. You know, my kids are waiting for me to go pick them up and I'm stuck in the closet somewhere, or I'm peeking out the fucking blinds, or I'm with some other, you know, woman that's married to my cousin. You know, like, I'm doing dirty ass shit. I'm living a dirty way and I don't have nothing of goodness and God in my life. And I have a beautiful wife at home, all kinds of kids, right? And I'm doing all this sickness, right? So I'm sick. I'm sick in the head. I'm proud of myself about being sick, but we're getting better. You know, if you're sitting in these seats, you give yourself a break and a chance, like Matt said. The hardest person that you hurt is yourself. You know, that's where I had to come in to realize, is because I'm always putting myself second. You know, and that's a little bit of the selfishness that I like cultivate within my recovery, is I put myself first. You know, I used to hate when people say, oh, it's because you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. And I'm like, before I love myself, I got all kinds of money, I got all kinds of drugs, I got guns, got these girls wanting to come over here and hang with me. But and the truth was, they were seeing something that I didn't see. You know, I was in full denial. You know, I used to like promote like everything there was that was the worst in life. And I don't do that today. You know, I don't go around preaching either, unless it's like Fred Brown or some other like Alcohol Anonymous or South Help. You know, I don't tell this to my cousins, my brothers. It's for, you know, it's for attraction basis only. It's not for promotion, you know. I don't try to say that I work a perfect program, because if somebody hits me on the side of the road, I might just ram my car and go back to prison again. You know, I don't know. So I try to keep the God of my understanding in view, in front, and I keep that intimate relationship that I've been building on these past 2 years that I've been clean and sober, you know. And that right there is like something that's impossible, you know. 2 years for me, a week, right? 3 days of me, you know, being clean me, right? If you know me, then you know me that my whole life I've been this way. You know, I've been this way, having a problem with drugs and alcohol. Having a problem, like, job wasn't my problem, getting a woman wasn't my problem, wearing nice clothes wasn't my problem, you know, my family, you know, being happy for me, that was one of my problems. You know, I cared too much about what my family had to say about my life. You know, because they were like, honestly, like looking at me, and I wasn't looking at myself, because the mirror was telling me I look good. You know, I would let my mom tell me, hey man, you can't even keep a job. You know, and I'm looking at her like, I'm good though. You know, I got money in my pocket, but she's full of shame. You know, like I see the way the relationships that I had growing up, you know, it turned on me. Like I felt like they were the enemy after that, because they weren't like approving the way of my living, which was, I mean, where did I get the habits from? I got it from them. You know, I got everything that I knew. I got it from the closest people from me. You know, I'm a generational kid, you know, so I don't break curses because I don't say that they're generational curses. I just say that they're just a tradition that, you know, we mended, remodified, right? We modified that tradition. We don't go around and start shooting the neighbors up no more, you know. We don't go around and start, you know, passing the beer around and start passing the doobie around and pass it to the left hand. You pass me a joint, I'm gonna be like, get the hell away from me, man. What the hell's wrong with you? You know, I don't smoke. Oh, you're acting all brand new now. You just take a toke. I liked you better when you were fucked up. Yeah, you would, because then you have shit to talk about. Because they're as sick as I am, but they just know how to cope with, you know, society. You know, me, I'm a prisoner. I ain't did no 10 years straight. I did 5, I did 3, I did 2. But I've been doing this since 2000. You know, I'm 43 now, and nothing still clicked. I didn't choose to get sober and stop using drugs. I know that sounds crazy, but I didn't want to set out and go and be like, hey, you know, I'm gonna change my life for the better. I didn't have those intentions. You know, that's why I feel like it's a gift of sobriety that God blessed me with. You know, it's like a natural talent He gives me, like, you know, when I'm good at math. You know, and I had to introduce, you know, number 2 to my life was I came to believe a power greater than myself, because I didn't have no God. You know, I was always F God. You know, I was always rooting for the other guy. You know, I was fully possessed of all the spirits that I put inside my body. You know, I used to breed like satanic stuff. You know, I used to act like, oh, I'm crazy. You know, the devil this, the devil that, and truly I was. You know, because ain't no regular human being gonna walk around talking about that stuff, because you don't let God into your life. You know. And it is a spiritual program. It's not just about, you know, drugs and alcohol. That's just a symptom. When you stop doing the drugs and the alcohol, then you're stuck with yourself, you know, and your spirituality, that void. Because for me, that was my coping mechanism, was drinking. You know, I drank because, you know, my mom didn't love me. You know, I drank because my dad didn't care for me. You know, I drank because I was shorter than all the other kids. You know, I drank because God is going to condemn me to hell because I just shot this other kid. You know, I drank because I wanted to do all these things to feel like somebody other than what I'm not, you know. I was a hurt little boy that wanted his parents to be happy for him and supportive. I was this hurt little boy that, you know, wanted some praise because I got an A at school, you know, and nobody was involved in my life. So I was like, well, fuck it then. You know, the only attention that I could get was bad attention. I'm sitting there, you know, I'll make you come out of your job to come and pick me up at school. You know, and it just built off that. It built off that. You know, I was the Bartman, right? Bart Simpson was around that time, Ninja Turtles. I'm fighting with everybody up and down the block. I'm fighting with my sister. I'm fighting with my little brother. I'm burning cats. You know, I'm blowing up M80s in people's, you know, restroom stalls because I seen it on TV. You know, where'd you get the fireworks? I don't know. What are you working for? I don't know. Like, what the fuck? Is this crazy or what? You know, and if you can identify and you can relate, I mean, you kind of crazy than motherfucker too. You know, but I'm going to keep the focus on me because I know where we're all at. You know, if we're all sitting right here in a common place, it's because we're trying to look for a better way. You know, and the other thing, everything else has not been working for us. You know, it hadn't worked for me. I had a lot of money. You know, I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of all that, what the TV tells you that is great, you know. And come to think of it, you know, I was that gutter motherfucker that had, you know, black hands, hadn't showered in 5 days, you know, pushing a basket, trying to get recyclables, was the shame of the earth, had my family going and beeping on me when I'm riding my bike, like, get the fuck off the street, you stupid motherfucker. Like, you know, I was ashamed, I was the scum of the earth, you know, and I felt it. You know, I lived it, I embraced it, I was like, man, I ain't shit. You know, and that's why I focus on not trying to be so hard on myself. Because me feeling like that shame and unworthiness, that's something that I'm doing to myself. It's another form of self-pity and shame. I had to figure out what shame was. You know, and when I ended up at Fred Brown, I was trying to skate off of a 6-year fucking joint suspension because I almost killed 3 cops. So I was like, man, I'm like trying to rationalize and do all these things because I get good, right? I get good. God still like he still rebuilds me, you know? Like he still lets me get up in the morning and be able to brush my teeth without having to have help, you know, or I still get up, stand up, or see right without glasses, or have these natural talents that God gives me, you know. And I came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore my sanity. And I remember getting the seed planted at Fred Brown because I've been a gang of rehabs. No other rehab had ever told me to write an autobiography, and I'm like, what? This is crazy. I'm not writing that shit down on paper, you know. But at the same time, I was like, wait a minute. I don't have to write down everything, and plus I got the suggestions that, you just write down, what you feel comfortable with. We start from there because it's progress, not perfection. And plus the food was good, and the help was great, and we were walking to the marina and stuff like that, and it was a positive place. It was out of my area, I was just like, damn, yo, what the fuck? This is crazy. People really live like this? You have people waking up telling you good morning and shit. Like, damn. My Hina don't even tell me good morning. She hates me. She'd rather, I'm over here, hey, can I get a visit? Fuck that. You gotta worry about staying clean. And I'm like, I'm hating on her. Like, what? You wanna come see me now? It's all about me. All about me, 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 me. That's the root. That's the root of our disease. It's all about me. Poor me. Why me? Self-pity. Selfishness. All you care about is yourself. Like, yeah, of course. Because I'm fucking me, man. You gotta fucking love me. I don't give a shit what I'm doing. Love me. That's it. Period. I'm not making nobody else happy but myself. And I took the wool over my eyes, and I finally started working on my denial patterns. And I was in full denial. I thought my girl was happy with me. She wasn't happy with me. She was just putting up with me. I was one of her other kids. My mom was sad all the time because she's one of my first victims. I've been torturing her for the past 43 years, at 43 plus 9 months. Because, I blew her out, right? Boom, that came out. Blew her out quick, right? Fuck, mom hates me, dog. All the other kids were Caesarean, dog. I blew her out. Sorry, mom. And it is what it is, dog. My dad, he was just like, mijo, whatever you do, just don't get stuck. I'm like, I'm never gonna get stuck. I'm fucking stuck. I'm stuck. Who's next to me? Dad. Fucking dude. Right? So everybody has good intentions, right? I have a gang of kids, right? And they all look at me. They're older than me, like, fucking dad, you're an idiot. Like, yeah, I am. But I don't do the same things that I used to do yesterday. And that's where the 2 years come in, and I've been working these steps. I'm on step 4 right now. But the major ones for me were 1 through 3. Step 4 is good. I'm on my 3rd column of the 4th step. That's where I'm at right now. And it's long, man, because it's a resentment list. It's a gang of chingo of people. I'm pretty sure you guys are doing it right now. You got a lot of people that you're pissed off about. So in my 3rd column, I'm looking at, why am I mad at these people? And I'm starting to realize it's becoming repetitive because I'm like, damn, this is petty. It's all about me being petty as fuck with these people. Oh, he didn't like me. Oh, he didn't put sugar in my coffee. Oh, he didn't acknowledge me. But what did I do to them? I got the ball rolling. That's what my sponsor always tells me is just focus on you got the ball rolling. Don't be mad at your ex or your lady or whoever the hell you're mad at, because somewhere down the line, you did something to them, and they're still holding on to that, and you have to try to take that in consideration. Your mom, she knows you in and out, and she don't see you, 2 years clean. She just sees you as that fuck up that, that you've always been. 2 years is nothing towards, 31 years. And then she probably still can't even cope with it. So why am I trying to go and get the approval and validation from my mother? Ain't I grown? Right? So I work with my sponsor on those things, to grow up. Because I'm on the late train, dog. I'm 43, I don't have shit, Like, I don't have, the major stuff. Like, I don't have self-esteem. I don't have the ambition. I have too much pride. I have to modify my daily living. I don't have much God. I have little God right now, and that's a lot for me. Because step 2, I had to identify and come to a spirituality sense, because I was an agnostic, and an agnostic that my sponsor had told me was, I just wouldn't believe that God would work for me. It's not that I didn't believe there was a God, because atheist is, I don't believe that there's anything. I think, Big Bang shit, molecules and all that. But agnostic is, yeah, I believe there's a God, but I don't think God would work for me. Because I was too busy running for the other side, I was running for the devil all the time. Running for the devil. Yeah, that's me. All day long. So now I'm on this hallelujah shit, reborn again shit, right? Sorry, God. Right? And, hey, it is what it is. Because if you know me, you know me, right? And everybody's just like, damn, fool. Like, you going to church now? And I go, maybe. What are you afraid of? Me. I was going to church in prison, and everybody's like, what are you scared of, fool? And I'm like, I'm scared of what I can do to myself, And they're like, the fuck? You're not going for the donuts? I go, that too? oh, okay. Is it good? Yeah, come along. Yeah. So I don't get stuck in the stigmas, you know. I don't get stuck in the, you know, because that's how I've always been. I'm going to go wherever I want to go, and if they don't like it, well, too bad. Do something about it, you know. And that's one of my pride issues. That's why I have too much pride. Sometimes I just got to kick back and just slow down and let God be in control. But, you know, I didn't find God. You know, I never found God. Right? I just stopped believing that I was God. You know, because for me, I have a God syndrome. You know, if I could take life, then that means I'm God. Right? And if I could give life, you know, then that means I'm God. You know, if I could make shit happen, then I'm not focusing on God in my life. You know, I don't stop myself from this recovery process because God is in my life working through me. And that's what I say now, you know. So 2 was a big one for me as well, because I had to figure out what higher power was going to come and mold me and bring me back to some sort of sanity. And if you're there right now, you have to look up what's sanity, right? What is sanity? It's sound judgment, good reasoning, right? If I jump off this 2nd-story building, will I break my leg? I don't know, maybe not, right? But is that sound judgment or not? Where's your sound judgment? What are you doing on the 2nd story? Yeah, use the ladder. Yeah. Hey, some sanity, right? If I drink this bottle, am I going to get the same effect that I've always got for the past 31 years? I don't know. Maybe not this time. It's Bud Light. Yeah, it's not Jameson. Bullshit. Doesn't matter whether it's Jameson, Bud Light. Doesn't matter if it's 4.2 alcohol or 9 point. Right? Doesn't matter if it's an IPA, or it doesn't matter if it's Black Label, Red Label, Adios motherfucker, whatever you're drinking. Right? You're drinking meth. Where's your sanity at, dog? Where's your sanity at, dog? You're drinking poison, fucking Drano, right? You're fucking roach killer. Come on, dog. Where is your sanity? So, number 2. So, building on that higher power for me was how to come to terms with God, right? God is on my resentment list, but we're not there yet. So, I had to build an intimate relationship with a higher power, in order for I to come to believe, like, well, maybe that fucking white Jesus can do something for me, you know, or maybe, you know, that Buddha can, you know, uplift me and bring me into some enlightened atonement state or whatever. You know, I'm a nerd, right? I'm a bookworm, I read a lot. And, you know, and whatever religion-based shit there is, right? But I'm not on the religious tip, you know, because every church I've been into, they try to throw holy water on me and run me out because I was looking at the girls or something, or I was trying to smoke in the bathroom, or I was thirsty and I was drinking the holy water. You know, I was just like, what the fuck? It's just water. You know, I was tasting it like, this shit is not different, huh? You know, what is it supposed to do? You know, like, stupid. You bring me here and throw it on me. Fuck you, throw it on you. You know? I'm like totally like the wrong person to take into church or bring around your family. You know, I'm gonna fuck up. I'm gonna say bitch, slut, skank, hoe, tramp. You know, I'm just like, who brought this fucking kid over here? And, you know, but I'm not a kid no more. So I still have them modes where it's like, you know, I'm still that young little kid, you know? I haven't really grew up because for the past 31 years, I've been drugging and dosing myself with all kinds of stuff. So my brain is I never like grew up. That's all I can say. Like, I never grew up. So I look to God. I be like, hey, God, like, help me, man. Like, what do I do? You know, you don't talk to me and be like, oh, motherfucker, stop. You know, I don't hear shit when I call him. Sometimes, like, I'll be like, man, I'm gonna make this motherfucker come out of there we go again, trying to take my own, like, will into my own hands, you know. I don't do stuff. I don't serve, you know, like, God doesn't serve me. You know, I serve God, or if I choose to serve God, right? You know, that's that free will part, right? That's that little bit of free will that the higher power gives a person, or, you know, my opinion, gives a person, is whether I'm gonna choose to serve a higher power or not. And for the past 30-something years, I can't say before 10 to 0 because I can't remember that shit, you know. But from where I can remember, from 11 on up, I wasn't serving no God. I didn't have no God in my life. You know, if you came with me with God, or Jehovah Witness, I don't give a shit who you are. You get away, you know. And that was like the nice way of putting it, get away. Because I was mad at God. You know, I was mad that he killed my friends. I was mad that he didn't bring back my brother. I was mad that he didn't bring back, you know, my friend, like my friends. You know, I was mad because my family relatives are dead because there's no excuse. And I show up at everybody's eulogy and everybody's like, oh, mijo, he's off to a better place. I'm like, what the fuck? Then why are you crying? You know? Bring that motherfucker back right now. I don't give a fuck. I don't kill all these motherfuckers up and down the street. You know? And then they were just like, he's in a better place, mijo. You don't have to do all that stuff. And I was like, I couldn't entertain that shit. And, you know, and that hurt that I felt at that time, you know, bred throughout these years, you know. And then after that, I wasn't even mad at the homies that were gone, you know. I was more mad because I was getting skimped out the sack. You know, the Hannah didn't want me, she only wanted the bottle, you know. I was becoming impotent because I had too much drugs and liquor in my body. So I couldn't even satisfy the girl that I was with. You know, so I was just like, damn, man, you know, and I'm truly transparent in my recovery, because if I'm not, then I'm holding back, and then that's something that I can't do. Because everything that I live through, you know, my experience doesn't lie to me, you know, and that's what my sponsor put in my head, is like, just share your experience, because it's not going to lie to you. You know, you can relate to anything that I'm telling you right now, then maybe you need to look at what the alcohol and the drug is doing for you, you know, and what it's not doing for you. You know, give yourself a break, give yourself a chance, you know, because the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, it truly brought me closer to the God of my own understanding, because I came to believe that I got my understanding that was patient, that was tolerable, definitely with me, right? And loving and caring. You know, it wasn't condemning like my grandma's God, you know, like my stepdad's God. Them motherfuckers casted me out to house since I was like 9 years old. You're going to hell, motherfucker, when you die. You know, straight out like that. You know, we're gonna end up in prison, and then you're gonna die and go to hell. I was like, fuck, I don't want this guy. Yeah? And that's what it was for me, you know, until now I came to a point where I can make my own basis with a higher power, so that way maybe, you know, this higher power, my own understanding, can help me, bring me, you know, to some goodness in myself. You know, and number one, it had lifted off a lot of shame and guilt, you know, because the powerlessness, when I left these kids in a drug house, you know, and I took off on all these girls, you know, and left them with all kinds of families, you know, I truly love my kids. I truly loved them people when I was with them. You know, I loved my mom, and there was no doubt about that. So, you know, that was a lot of powerlessness when I had alcohol and drugs in my system. Every time I put that drug in my body, I was under the fucking influence of drugs. You know, it doesn't make it right, but at least I got a reason why I'm all fucked up in the head, you know? And if I give myself a chance to stop doing the drugs, maybe I can give myself a chance to be proving to them that I really, truly love them. You know, and it starts with me, because I have to prove to myself that I truly love myself without drinking Drain all the time. You know, while shooting up fucking, you know, that good Mexican tar that makes you want to die. You know, getting woken up from Narcan. You're lucky, though. You know, shit. They're lucky to have Narcan now. I mean, everybody's smoking fentanyl, M30s and shit. Like, what the fuck? You cook that shit in the can, right? Anyhow, relapse. So, getting back to a higher power, right? So the program truly works. There's a solution. If you don't know it, try to give yourself a break and get into it. I try to keep my I messages and not focus on you, because every time I take your inventory, I don't take my own inventory. You know, I focus on what I have done to myself and what I can do better to get closer to a God of my understanding, because my God of my understanding does for me what I could never have done for myself, and what I have never been able to do for myself, which is start at the minimum. Stop drinking and boozing, right? Stop fucking driving drunk, right? Normalize drinking and driving too at an early age. Stop drugging, even weed, even vape. Stop it, because my brain is God-given, you know. And if I don't take care of the organs that was given to me by God, you know, and by this humanity or whatever, how am I going to take care of anything that comes with it? Because I don't tell myself how smart I am. You know, I read a book and then I educate myself. I lift weights and my muscles grow. You know, but I'm not waking up and being like, oh fuck, I'm that smart today. Nah, I gotta put in some work. And if it was all about God and being in God's hands, then all these self-help books would be like one page, just believe in God. But it takes work, you know. It takes work. That's why the books are there. That's why there's a gang of other books that are there. You know, it's like how it works, right? That's why it's there. You know, so that way you can like build and educate yourself and do the research and self-identify, so that way you can maybe come to a point that maybe that's the drugs and the alcohol, because I can't tell you it's for you, you know. All I can say is for me. For me, it was that, you know, and my life ain't all fucking grandiose and great and goody gumdrops. I still have a bad time dealing with this life, which just, I don't cope through drinking every day after work. I don't cope with smoking joints or doing heroin or sniffing meth. I don't use that to cope with my life. What I do now, I fucking punch a punching bag. I do exercise. I go to meetings. I meet with my sponsor every week. Most of the time, he's the only guy that I talk to. He's totally abnormal. I change my thought and my criminal belief patterns. You know, I don't go around a lot of people anymore, because I just can't deal with it. You know, and plus two, I'm on parole. You know, like I can't. I'm not going back to prison again. There's people in there that's been there for 32 years. You know, my whole little lifetime. They're trying to get out the first time. You know, and I'm good, man. Anyhow, stop doing drugs. I'm not doing drugs no more. You know, I'm not drinking no more. You know, I'm glad to be back at Fred Brown because it helps me to come and share. Right? Sound like the fucking guy right now, but it's part of the program. You know, even though I feel uncomfortable, I still do it because I'm gonna go to any lengths to try to keep my sobriety today, my recovery. You know, thank you, Nancy, for calling on me. You know, I wasn't queasy about coming out this way. You know me. I'll talk anywhere. You know, I'll talk myself out of a wet paper bag. You know, but this is not crazy talk today. You know, I'm not gonna give you the shoot 'em up, bang bang stories. I'm not gonna give you the that dope was good. Let me steal his dope and have him look for it type shit. Because you guys already know all that shit. You know, because I've sat there, right, and I've listened to everybody else come over here and be like, fuck, it's fucking stupid. You know, because pitiful, you know, irritable, and restlessness. Those are the three traits that I don't have much anymore. I don't feel like I'm irritated all the time. I don't feel pity about myself or other people as much. And I'm not restless. I go to sleep now. You know, I sleep and I'm fat and I'm slow and I'm sluggish. And, you know, I'm all these good things because now the three traits that I replaced from restlessness, pitiful, and what's the other one? Irritated, right? I trade them out with happy, joyous, and free, you know, because I'm happy. I'm happy-go-lucky like a motherfucker right now. You know, I drive by the cops and I ain't tripping. I'm on parole. I don't care. I ain't doing nothing. Nobody's leaving no gun in my car. You know, I ain't got no sack there. You know, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. You know, I'm not talking to myself. I used to talk to myself. You know, I used to be all them goodness, right? You know, whatever it is that's blocking you away from your higher power, you know, try to move it out of the way and let God work through you. You know, where am I in time? We're good right now? Yeah, I just came over here to tell you and to share with you that the program truly works. Alcoholics Anonymous, any other fellowship programs, they truly work. If you give yourself a break and look at what the symptoms are, you know, what the drug is doing for you or what the alcohol is doing for you and what it's not doing for you, you know, and evaluate that. Start from there. Like, figure out, like, well, whenever I drink this, does this happen? You know, do I wake up with 10 bodies in my bed? You know, are they all, like, consensual? You know, where I'm making stuff happen. And if you're trying to make stuff happen, my opinion is, like today, for me, right? For me, I tried to get a job today. I tried to get a job today, another job. And I couldn't, man. I couldn't make it happen. You know, and I didn't go and be like, oh, God, you know, if you give me this job, you know, I didn't barter with God. You know, I don't barter with God. You know, I don't swap out things for God if I do this for him or not. You know, I just say, hey, God, you know, if you can help me. You know, and I do some of the footwork too, because when I ask God for help, it relieves a little bit of the tension and irritability, you know, that stress that I'm trying to make it happen. You know, and that goes with number 3 of making a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, as I understand. But that's a lot of faith there. You know, to get to number 3 and number 2, you got to do for me, in my opinion, you got to do a really good thorough on number 1. And I believe that's where your autobiography is the number 1 and identify whether you are or you aren't. Because nobody could tell you. You know, even though mom told you all the time, or Heina told you all the time you're all fucked up, that shit don't work. You have to tell yourself, hey, this is what it is, and I'm going to work to try to stop that. Just that, you know, because it's my responsibility to work on my sobriety. That's the minimum for me. That's my responsibility to work on my behavior, because I normalized a lot of things, you know, growing up that are not welcomed in society. Yeah, my name is Rafael, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for letting me share.